Hello, as always, I am Cosmic, and today we're going to be reviewing Helldivers, which is a hardcore co-op twin-stick shooter developed by Arrowhead Studios and published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Arrowhead Studios, of course, is most well known for the Magicka series, which shot the developer into indie stardom back in 2008. Helldivers itself was first released on PlayStation 4 in March early this year, and it has now received a PC release. Thankfully, Arrowhead do have a history of PC development first and foremost, and as such, the actual port in terms of stability and controls have very few problems. Another note worth mentioning is that the game on Steam does come with the Masters of the Galaxy, Turning Up the Heat and Democracy Strikes Back expansions included in the original price. Now, in terms of setting, Arrowhead have taken a break from the humour-filled fantasy setting of the Magicka series, and are now trying their hand at science fiction. From the get-go, Helldivers introduces you to the future of mankind and its head, Super Earth. The galaxy has now been vastly explored, with humanity encountering terrifying alien forces to which we must defend and rid ourselves of. Helldivers' setting and atmosphere oozes that of Starship Troopers, with the introduction video reminding me of Terran Federation's propaganda videos from the film, with sentences like "spread democracy and freedom throughout the stars." In fact, it was so wonderfully done and nostalgic, and it was just so Starship Trooper-esque that I was waiting for a "would you like to know more" at the end. As a Helldiver, you are part of Super Earth's elite fighting force, under the orders of Super Earth Command. Helldivers comes complete with Warhammer 40k style drop pods, battle cruisers, an armoury of weapons, various armours, and of course cool ass capes. The game's entire setting works really well, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it kind of blends the mix of serious science fiction with outright humour, and it does it perfectly well with a fine balance of the two. Once you get into the game, after an informative tutorial, you'll start on the bridge of your ship, and from here you can access the campaign galactic map, which shows the various enemy factions and the current state of territory control. This map is live, meaning that it constantly changes due to your and other players' actions. Each contested territory can be won by a number of players completing planets and gaining community influence, which will eventually take over that sector. Essentially, the aim is to push the factions back to their homeworld and then lay siege to it. Once the faction's homeworld has been taken, they will not return for the remainder of the war. Once all the factions are defeated and their homeworlds have been taken, the entire war restarts. Enemy factions will of course push towards Super Earth, and if, say, all the players that are in the game focus only on one sector and then leave, say, the cyborg faction unattended, the cyborgs will advance, and should they reach Super Earth, you will have to defend against the siege. It is entirely possible to lose the war, and aliens can win, and the entire game will end and the credits will roll, and you will start once again in a completely new war. What's interesting about the campaign is not only that each player can affect the overall progress, but both PC and PlayStation players will have an effect on the world. However, there is no actual crossover play between platforms. Another downside to the Galactic campaign is that online connectivity is required. Now, while you can take part in missions in offline mode and in local co-op, and you can progress your character that way, it will not affect global progression, and ultimately I feel that the overall experience really needs to be played online to get the full worth out of the game. After selecting a mission to start or join, you'll drop pod into the level, which has various objectives. Levels themselves are not particularly large, however they do remain a fair size given the objectives that you're actually given. Mission objectives are often reused over and over, such as activating SAM sites or securing a location. However, in later levels, these simple tasks become nigh impossible with the onslaught that you'll be facing. So while it does have a repetitive nature by design, it rarely becomes boring. Levels are randomly generated, but they do reuse assets, and while the environments really do look nice visually, what is good is that they are all non-linear. So you and your team can proceed to complete the objectives however you wish, so you don't have to do things in a particular order. Moving on to combat, the basic combat itself is your standard solid twin stick shooter mechanics. Point and fire with whatever you have available. However, it is ammo based and infinite ammo is not available in the game, so you do have to make sure your aim and shots count. However, where things really get interesting is with the stratagems. Now these essentially are abilities that call in everything from orbital bombardments to equipment from your orbiting ship. In true Magicka style, these are activated with various combinations like the spell in Magickas. In true Magicka fashion, these stratagems are invaluable and will often mean the difference between success and failure. A well-timed turret, ammo drop or respawn stratagem can turn the tide in an instant. Also making a return from the Magicka series is friendly fire, as does randomly accidental but funny deaths. Landing an ammo drop on someone will crush them instantly. I myself soloed an entire level only to be flattened at the very end by the extraction helicopter that was there to rescue me. Arrowhead have a good formula for creating funny oops moments in their games, and thankfully Helldivers is no exception to that. Combat also puts in some intrinsic co-op mechanics into play. Certain heavy weapons and items can have a second player. For example, a second player can help reload a heavy machine gun. Co-op is at the core of the game, and playing with other people is as rewarding as it is fun. Teammates can help in a variety of ways, and while teamwork is by no means forced, it is heavily encouraged and borderline required at harder difficulties. Now, while accidentally dropping turrets on friends is fun, it doesn't really have longevity or engagement, which is where the game's difficulty and enemy variety comes into play. Each faction has a great number of various enemies to face, whose diversity increases as the mission difficulties do. Each enemy have their own set of tactics and abilities, not to mention there are some really impressive giant monsters you'll be facing along the way. Now, after all the shooting and dying is all said and done, character progression is of course the all-important thing, as what loadout you take into battle could be the deciding factor. As your character levels up, you'll be unlocking new cosmetic armors as well as new weapons to take into battle with you. On top of this, you'll earn research points, which you can also earn by picking up science samples in the actual levels. These research points are used for everything in terms of upgrades. Using research points, you can upgrade stratagems to become stronger and have a longer duration and shorter cooldowns. You can upgrade your weapons to extend their clip mag size, and there are many other things to be able to upgrade with research points. On top of this, you also have perks. Perks can be unlocked by completing planets and also by leveling. These perks offer a variety of abilities and equipment, but you can only choose one in your loadout, so it is best to choose carefully. The progression, like the difficulty, has a really nice curve to it, and while earlier missions and earlier progression is very easy to do, the later levels do come with their own steep learning curve. Overall, Arrowhead have created a little gem with Helldivers. It has fantastic combat, really good progression, a great curve in difficulty, and ultimately it is a fantastically fun multiplayer experience. It's stable, it looks great, it sounds great, and it really blends the line between some really cool ass moments mixed in with some really hilarious mistakes, and I think that is what Arrowhead does best. For the amount of content that you do get in Helldivers, mixed in with the hours and hours and hours of endless fun you can have playing multiplayer, I think it's definitely worth picking up if you enjoy twin stick shooters or if you're a fan of the Magicka series. That is my review of Helldivers. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Do like, subscribe and leave a comment, and I will see you next time.